I guess I've been putting this off for far too long. I really should get back to doing Sunset, and probably need to also maybe work on Colgate vs. Army of Darkness, and let's play Dark Souls 2. And I should probably be slightly more proactive in trying to find out when Sound Speed will be back from moving, and when Cabral will have a break from work. Oh well, I guess for the time being we should probably get down to the one thing I can do right now without anyone else's help and without having to worry about how I'm going to proceed in Dark Souls. So, without further ado, let's read Sunset! As I sat down to read the second chapter of Sunset, I felt the icy hand of death reach down and grab me by the throat. I didn't want to do this. I have no idea why I started doing this. But now that I've started it, unlike the dozens of other projects I've started and gave up on, this one goes through. So does Colgate vs. Army of Darkness. I really need to finish that. I'm like a chapter away. Anyway, Sunset Chapter 2, Twilight. Twisted laughter and scared ponies filled her sight and sound. They filled her sound. Okay. The laughter wasn't her own, yet it echoed from her muzzle. Oh, ventriloquist. Interesting. Her wings flapped lazily as she was kept aloft, drinking in the fear of the crowd like a pony who hadn't had a water... drinking in the fear of the crowd like a pony who hadn't had a water in a week. Inside, she begged them to run, but her face definitely twisted into a wicked grin as an unearthly white pony flew up to her. It was happening again. Oh shit. When I was a little... Oh, it's a song. When I was little filly and the sun was going down. Everything changed before her teal eyes. The crowning mass... Okay, I'm assuming this is supposed to be Nightmare Moon, but I have absolutely no idea. The crowning mass enraged white... the cowering mass of enraged white mare blurred and spun. Everything changed before her teal eyes, comma, the cowering mass of enraged white mare blurred and spun, turning around before coming to a stop. That is... I have literally no idea how I'm supposed to imagine that. That is like the weirdest mental image. In front of her rested the body of a large alicorn, slumped on the bed. Oh my. Eyes closed, a final breath passed her yellowed lips. The smoker, then. She could not help but let a tide of tears slip as she released the pony was gone. That her suffering was over. So, Nightmare Moon killed Fluttershy? The darkness and the shadows, they would always make me frown. It shifted again. The dead pony stretched out and turned everything a sickening shade of gray. So it's Kill Bill then. Before her stood massive pillars of gray rock under a veil of stars. She was so lonely here. A fact made worse by the sickening blue marble dangling in front of her. Oh, how it teased her so, reminding her how much of how no pony needed her. That is okay. That's weirdly phrased. So yeah, definitely gonna say it's Nightmare Moon, and apparently she killed not Fluttershy in the past, and now she's remembering it as Pinky sings to her. This is David Lynch levels of what the fuck? In their isolated eyes, she was less than the worthless. In their insolent eyes, she was less than worthless to them. I'd hide under my pillow at what I thought I saw, but Granny Pie said that wasn't the way to deal with fears at all. The blue marble suddenly became impossibly bright, the colors diluting and spreading across her field of vision. A familiar shape rested in the middle of the oppressive glare. Wings flared in triumph before it slipped from the sky. She was awed beyond all compare, and overjoyed that, one day she too would be able to pull off such feat. Not feats, just such feat, if only in her own unique way. She said, Pinkie Pie, you gotta stand up tall, learn to face your fears. You'll see that they can't hurt you, just laugh and make them disappear. A final scene danced across her vision. Was it of sugar plums? Two young foals, one white with a pink mane, and the other blue with a lighter blue mane, frolicked in the grass and flowers of the ancient yet homely castle. Homely means ugly, you dumb shit. Their adoring parents watching over them as they took a break from the routine. Oh, okay, so they're not actually having fun. They're doing like a little dance routine. I get it. The smaller pony tried to jump onto the older foal's back, but missed and face planted into the dirt. Emerging from the bed of flowers, the little pony smiled and laughed at how silly she looked. She face planted into the dirt and then into a pile of flowers. Okie dokie. She giggled at this is the song again. So giggle at the ghosties, guffaw at the ghostly, crackle at the creepy, woof at the weepy? Okay. Chortle at the kooky, snortle at the spooky. The rest of the eternal music faded into the blackness as she found herself coming to from a long, restful night's sleep. Pinkie Pie's song is eternal. Fuck you. Fuck you, phone. I hate phone. Anyway. Where was I? Eternal music, right. Pinkie singing eternally. Her Royal Highness, Princess Luna of Equestria, Regent of the Moon, yawned as she stretched out her forehooves. Space, space. The light of her sister's sun dancing across her new chambers. She frowned a little to herself, having obviously been too tired to wake up and lower the moon with her. Okay. Yeah. What's up with the titles? I really don't get this guy's obsession with titles. He gives them to, like, he gave Celestia like 1 million titles in the last chapter, and now he's giving Luna a whole blanket of her own. You don't need to do that. You can just say Luna or Princess Luna. I think people know who you are talking about. Anyway, it had been nearly a year since her return to Equestria, and still visions of her time as Nightmare Moon haunted her dreams. Thankfully, the Pink Pony song would come to her mind at the right moment and spare her from the nightmares. Okay, so Pinkie's just like coming over to visit her, just being like, so I'm gonna sing you a little song now. Get ready. Whatever. Getting out of bed, Luna walked into the bathroom and began her new daily routine. Oh, good, she's on a diet. She's got her own little exercise routine going on now. Okay. So much had changed in such a brief time that the younger princess found it all almost completely overwhelming. A new capital, the creation of Parliament. Yeah, okay, sure. So it's a constitutional monarchy then. The indoor plumbing topped and the creation of Parliament, comma, and indoor plumbing topped up her list of the most radical changes to the country during her interment in the moon. Okay. Since the days of the Creator, oh shit, God's involved now. The capital had been all the nation had been, a modest little town, and a castle named Equire. Okay, yeah, Equire. The castle Equire. Yeah, no, that's dumb. That's super dumb. Now only known as the ancient castle of the Pony Sisters. Canterlot, however, was much larger and far more grand than their ancient home. Yeah, okay, sure. Again, whatever. That's dumb, but it's not incorrect, at least. I mean, it's dumb headcanon bullshit, but it's not actually, like, canonically wrong. Unless I'm wrong about that. It could be canonically wrong. I don't know. Anyway, Luna emerged from her room, feeling refreshed and ready to tackle a new day. Oh, that's fantastic. Celestia had been insistent that she change her sleeping habits to better integrate herself into modern society. Because God knows the Moon Princess should not be awake during the night. That would be stupid. In some ways, the younger princess missed her night. Yeah, because you're the fucking princess of the night. Celestia is being kind of a bitch and refusing to let you, hang out during the time that is your birthright. But became relieved when she saw the ponies no longer lived by the old sunrise-sunset standard. Now ponies stayed up until all manner of the night, and made her feel a little more appreciated. Because back in medieval times, no one worked by candlelight, ever. That never happened. Also, if ponies are now, staying up during the night, why the fuck is Celestia telling Luna she can't stay up at night anymore? Like, if there's even more reason now than ever for her to be able to just stay up at night and do her thing at night, the time when she is the princess of the regent of the night, why now, when there is far more reason than ever before to be up at night, is she refusing to let her stay up at night? Like, it's dumb. That's super dumb. Good morning, your highness, chirped a friendly voice as the Princess of the Moon made her way down to the late breakfast. It was a small, wine-red unicorn mare with a dark red mane and rosy red eyes, wearing a maid's uniform, like many others in the castle. Oh my, that's okay. Okay. Sorry, an hour later, after I had to deal with something. Anyway, so yeah, red on red on red. Wow, that is some creative color scheming there. Also, wine red, so wine red with an even darker mane. So you're basically just breaking the whole pastel thing over your knee so you can have the most ridiculously darkly shaded, blood red horse you can possibly imagine. And then you shove it in a fucking maid's outfit. Now, and let's be clear here, he's not putting her in, like, the light blue smock with a, like a, sort of thing. It's not like an actual modern maid's outfit. When he's saying a maid's outfit, he clearly means, like, the black and white stupid fucking frilly French bullshit. Which is basically just fetish. Just fetish stuff. So, yeah, Celestia has an entire division of fetishy maids cleaning her castle. I think we can pretty firmly say that Celestia is a terrible fucking ruler. I wish I'd made a counter for that now because, wow, she's terrible in the story. Anyway. Good morning, stable. Luna nodded to her bow. Luna nodded to her bow. Stable. God, just. Oh, wait, hold on. Is it stable? Stable. It's not stable. It's sable. Sable. That's not even a pun. That's just. Okay, where Sable was one of the few ponies who actively tried to socialize with her. Mary Sue. Sometimes she thought her sister had put her up to it. At first, anyway. Over time, the princess had to admit that they had grown as close as a servant and a royal could, and in some ways, more. Oh my. The unicorn was one of her only friends. Yeah, okay, this is a fucking Sue. I trust you slept well, princess. She smiled when Luna nodded in reply. Excellent, I'm glad to hear that. Princess Celestia sent me to get you. Since she received a new letter from her student. If you feel like reading it with her, of course. A good morning suddenly became great to the Midnight Princess as she trotted down the hall. Okay, so now she's also the Midnight Princess. Yeah, we're just gonna keep on piling titles onto these two. Anyway, changing course to her sister's chambers. Oh my. Any time to spend with Celestia was golden time to her, even if she found Twilight's letters a little on the boring side. Bitch. As they walked, the princess glanced down the hallway. The princess glanced through a doorway filled columns and worked her ponies inside, attempting repairs. Luna chuckled as she continued on her way to the memories. No, continued on her way at the memories of her sister, recalling the night to her. Recalling the night to her just last week. Celestia was remembering it to Luna. Since this is before Luna eclipsed, I think he wasn't actually trying to imply that like she was dreaming about it and like deliberately to show Luna. I think he's supposed to say retelling, but he tried to be fancy and abuse his thesaurus, and it ended badly. Anyway, her small smile spread into a full grin, remembering how she told her sister that a boring event that needed some way to liven it up. That's the end of the sentence. What? Okay, so she smiled at the thought of her sister telling her that there was a boring event that needed to be livened up. It's like that's amusing. It's like, oh man, there's this thing I'm doing and it's gonna be boring, so I want to figure out some way of making it not boring. Oh my god, that is the funniest story. oh sister, you truly do tell the best stories. Just as the memory finished playing out, the memory of being told that an event needed to be livened up, the Princess of the Moon found herself at her sister's chamber door. Transition. It was a glorious and sunny spring afternoon in Ponyville. Birds chirped happily in the trees, and critters ran across the ground, searching for shelter from the lingering cold nights. Unfortunately, they're searching for shelter now from the remains of the cold nights that they apparently spent without shelter, and they're only now looking for shelter after they're basically done. Okay. Unfortunately for the resident tailor, this also meant a tide of vermin swarming into her boutique, threatening her schedule as well as her dresses. And her sanity to boot. Oh shit. Rarity was at the end of her rope as she walked the cobbled streets of the town towards the library. Okay, that's technically not incorrect, it's just weirdly written. Yeah, a lot of this is very kind of like weirdly Old Englishy, kind of like in the way it's phrased. As she walked the cobbled streets toward the library, like it's technically not incorrect. It's just unbelievably purpley to be using for common parlance. I guess so saying common parlance, but you know, whatever. I'm making a point. She needed help, and who better than the town's librarian? Fluttershy? You're dealing with animals, so Fluttershy would be better than Twilight. By a substantial margin, actually. Hold on. Sorry about that. I had to turn on the light because my eyes are getting a little bit strained. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Twilight had to have some sort of book on getting rid of vermin who recently decided to take up residence in her businesses. Okay. She didn't care so much as to how, so much as the results. The ends justify the means in Rarity's mind. She will put all those mice in camps. Of course, she couldn't tell Fluttershy if the only course would be to ... exterminate them. That's fucking... So your reason for not asking Fluttershy to help you get rid of vermin, which she could do by just talking to them, is that if it comes down to having to murder them, which it wouldn't come down to if you just asked Fluttershy, she would be unhappy, probably with good reason, since you could have just asked her and she would have taken care of it for you. Rarity, you're an idiot. You are a genocidal idiot. You are the Hitler of this story. Well, okay, no, Celestia is. But you're getting up there. Anyway, walking into the library, the white unicorn saw that what could only be defined as simply ghastly. Okay, so she walked into the library and saw what could only be defined as simply ghastly, exclamation point, end of paragraph. So literally the only explanation, that's the only description. So the only thing she's seeing is something that can only be described in one way, and that is ghastly. So she is seeing the Pokemon Ghastly. Okay. Twilight! The unicorn exclaimed. You simply must do something. You simply must do some cleaning around here. This library, not a book depository. A trap door down to the basement opened suddenly in front of her. The back end of the purple unicorn emerging from the blackness, coated in an equally thick layer of dust. Sorry, Rarity, the mayor replied, another stack of books floating lazily behind her. Okay. Why are they floating lazily? Wouldn't they be floating with purpose, since it's, Twilight carrying them? Then she's not sort of just like drifting them around. I woke up this morning and noticed the change of pitch when my hoof hit this spot. I was reading a book about musical tones, you see, so I didn't notice it before. Anyway, I didn't notice that this floor seemed like weirdly hollow and made an odd banging, echoey noise when I stepped on it until I started studying music. Then it hit me that was a little bit odd. You're a dumbass. Everyone's a dumbass. Anyway, I found this trapdoor and the hundreds of books under it. Some of these are ancient, see? Twilight trotted over to a dusty pile and withdrew a black and tattered tome after placing the new pile safely on the floor. This is the diary of Ponyville's first mayor. It tells so much about the early history of the town before it was incorporated. Incorporated into what? And how the settler ponies came from across the forest. No, they didn't. I've only had time to skim it so far, but I'm sure it will be utterly fascinating. Oh, and before I end paragraph. Twilight, I am here on business! Rarity spoke with some annoyance. Sometimes her fellow unicorn could badger on for ages and ages without seeming to take a pause to breathe when something excited her. So, she asked her friend to simply nudge her when she began to talk too much. I'm having a vermin problem at my shop, and I need a spell to get rid of the pests. I've already had Rainbow and Pinky helping me clean up. Okay, so you've invited... Rarity has invited Rainbow Dash and Pinky, and now Twilight to help with the rat problem, without once asking Fluttershy. Why don't you just ask Applejack to come along too? That way she can really feel excluded. Really rub that salt in the wound when you reveal that you did the one thing that she's really good at and then invited everyone around you in your friend circle to help out except for her on the off chance that it ended up being a problem. I mean, really just drive that whole bitchiness home, Rarity, you know? Really. Oh, Twilight replied happily. I know plenty of spells to remove household pests. Thankfully, most of them do it without injuring them. I'd be happy to come over and help. I'm in a cleaning mood today. So, most of them don't, but Twilight knows a couple of spells that can just tear the skin off of those vermin if she really wants to. Everyone in this story is stupid and evil. She smiled at her friend, elated by a hard night's study followed by a peaceful night's rest and a good breakfast. So she was up 2 nights ago studying, then last night she was sleeping, and then this morning she ate breakfast, and now she's in a good mood. Okay, glad we got all that sorted out. As much as Rarity protested, saying she only needed the spell, No, seriously, Twilight, stay the fuck away from my house. I just need the spell. The purple unicorn insisted on helping her, partially as payback for the beautiful gala dress, and partly so that she can rub it in Rarity's fat nose. The 2 unicorns walked back in silence. ... Well, as silent as you could get when Twilight Sparkle was on a roll with something, so that's not silent at all. At any rate, Rarity did her best to try and stop it, but in the end she figured it would be better to grin and bear it, allowing her newest obsession to fade away on its own. Okay, so, I mean, like, it's a nice change of pace that they're not portraying Pinkie Pie as an annoying bitch that everyone hates, but why is that now Twilight's role? Like, what is it with thick writers and just going like, oh yeah, one of the main 6 is just a horrible, annoying, aggravating person who no one likes? Like, why is this a thing? This is a dumb thing. You should stop doing it. Soon enough, the 2 unicorns met with their friends at the boutique, the cleaning effort already well underway as they cleared out piles of old boxes and tossed away unusable tools. Ha! Ha! Rainbow Dash exclaimed when her friends returned. I bet you 5 bits I can get the entire shop cleaned out. I trail off. Who the hell is speaking? Angus Rarity. 10 seconds flat! Oh, no, that's Twilight. 10 seconds flat, Twilight finished. We know, Rainbow. All the terrible fanfiction writers always write in that stupid fucking phrase because you used it once, and so therefore it's now like your catchphrase. The Sky Blue Pegasus landed on the ground in a huff, pouting at being denied use of her favorite phrase that she used once. Rarity shot her a dark glance as well. God, everyone is just a bitch. Everyone. On what the who? Okay, this is Rarity now. Honestly, rainbows, these aren't clouds. It is delicate equipment, the white unicorn stated. I do not want you to whip them out quite that fast, darling. You could break something important. Rainbow scowled again as she was led inside, following a bouncing Pinkie Pie who decided to make a game of it. So, when Rarity said that Pinkie and Rainbow Dash were already helping, she really means they were standing outside of the boutique, smoking, and talking about how they were going to help, until Rarity showed up and told them that they couldn't help in the way that they were planning on helping. Yeah, that makes total sense. The rules were simple. Different items of importance were worth different points. Finding a needle was only 1 point, while finding a critter and taking it outside was worth 1,000 points. The pony with the most points at the end would have a small party thrown in their honor, naturally. None of the other ponies really wanted to play, but they decided to at least feign interest. Okay, so Pinkie's also someone who no one actually likes and they'll just kind of grin and put up with. Rarity's a bitch. Celestia is a horrible ruler. Luna's insane. Rainbow Dash is out of character and constantly spouting off one-liners. Twilight is overly talkative and no one likes her for that reason. I guess, like, Applejack might be a totally nice person, but yeah, so far every single one of the main 6 and the princesses have all been coming off as absolutely unlikable people who all secretly hate each other. Okie dokie then. To put it simply, the boutique had two faces to it. One side of the bit had a clean and proper storefront that was kept in impeccable condition year-round. On the other side of the bit, however, the back rooms and storage were an utter nightmare, even to a pony like Twilight, who was at least open about her messiness. Yes, because when I think Rarity, I'm thinking, oh yeah, no, she has like the most messy as hell like back room. Is this the same back room that we see in the show? The one that's like at most a bit of a tip, like with a few things kind of in odd places, the you know, define chaos sort of thing, like, because that's not what I'd call like an utter nightmare that even a pony like Twilight is shocked and offended by. Oh God, the dumb is building. ... And you called the library dirty? The purple unicorn spoke sarcastically as she cast an acidic glance at the white mare. Wow. Now I wish I had you're being a total bitch counter to go with the Celestia's a terrible ruler counter. And I'm sorry I'm saying bitch a lot. I know that it's kind of offensive and it's not really, you know, PC, but seriously, they are unlikable jerks. They are complete bastards. They are unbelievably unlikable people. Fuck these characters. Well, it's no wonder you've got beasts, Rainbow added, rolling her eyes. Yes, yes, quite, Rarity observed, trying to move on from the subject. Come on, between the four of us, we should be able to finish by supper time. Let's get going, every pony. True to her word, with the help of the others, the work to clear out the back room of Carousel Boutique took relatively little time for the quartet. Yeah, okay, you already mentioned that the four of them were all working together and... whatever. During the titanic effort, they managed to... Titanic effort? Fuck you. It's the work of an afternoon. That's not a titanic effort. They managed to find some of the vermin and shoo them outside into their natural habitat. It wasn't until late in the afternoon that they opened the doors to the final closet in the store. Oh shit, yeah, this is where I keep all of the bodies. Well, this is a little bit awkward. Like the others, it was dark and caked in a thin veil of dust. Yes, because Rarity has these closets stored away in her, you know, workroom that she just does not touch for so long that they become completely covered in dust. Because this ain't like the others. So all of her closets are just full of dust. Again, so very Rarity-like. You, sir, understand these characters so very well. Unbelievable. Untouched behind a stack of boxes for years. So Rarity. Together, the friends slowly cleared out all of the used needles. Really, author? Oh my god, I don't think you understand how sewing works. When people are talking about used needles, they're not talking about how a sewing needle, after being used once or twice, becomes unusable. That is not what a used needle is, you insane bastard. So, okay, we're getting the real scoop on Rarity's hidden heroin addiction. Oh god, together the friends slowly cleared out all the used needles and rotten thread, showing old issues of the Canterlot Courier and the Ponyville Express. Looking over the issues, Twilight noted how old even the latest issue was. Some 10 years older than her. Using her magic, she levitated the paper out of the closet. Rarity, Twilight spoke, do you mind if I keep these old newspapers? There might be some historical tidbits in there somewhere. You have a library. You probably have an archive of newspapers that are in much better condition than a bunch of ratty old ones that are kept in the back closet of Rarity's heroin den. The fussy unicorn rolled her eyes and nodded her head, knowing she would simply take tattered newspapers away. Okay. After Rarity fixed them all dinner upon her insistence, Twilight took her newfound papers home with her, levitating them easily behind her. And why does Rarity have an entire stack of papers that are 10 years older than Twilight? Were they left there by the previous owners? By her parents? Is Rarity actually in her mid-50s and is just hiding it really well? I mean, okay. She would get to them first thing in the morning, as her muscles screamed at her for all the hours she did that day to assist her friend, using magic. And it was like it was at most a day's work cleaning out a boutique, which has at most a couple of heavy sewing machines. Just suck it up. It was both mentally and physically taxing on the unicorn, but nothing worse than anything she experienced before. After a quick bath to shed off the layers of dirt from cleaning, you should be able to wash your hands and maybe take a quick shower to get the sweat off. Seriously, this is not like working on a farm. You're not caked in dirt from clearing out a goddamn clothing boutique. At most, you got some dust on. Yeah, whatever. Twilight Sparkle returned to her quarters and settled into her bed, reaching to her side to continue reading the mayor's journal. It wouldn't be until the moon hung high in the night sky that she decided to go to sleep. So tired, much sleepy, very, very exhausted mentally and physically. Now I'm just gonna stay up till past midnight, reading. Binding her pet owl, her junior assistant, the way that is worded is bidding her pet owl, her junior assistant, a good night as she turned out the lamp on beside her on her bedside. Okay, so is Owlicious her junior assistant? Isn't that Spike, or is Owlicious the junior assistant to Spike's regular assistant? I don't actually remember if that was established. I think he was just an assistant. I don't think he was like, I don't know. The way that's phrased, it sounds like she's talking about Spike and Owlicious separately, but it could also be Owlicious being referred to as a junior assistant in a really odd way. And anyway, the next morning found the purple unicorn finishing off her journal over a bowl of cereal, discovering facts about the town that she had never dreamed before, such as the library being the first building and the original town hall. Also bullshit. Closing the book with a content sigh, Twilight decided to read through the newspapers she collected yesterday. Seriously, like, all that shit has been decanonized by that one episode, and I think that episode came after Owl's Well That Ends Well, so he would have had access to it. Placing her old tome on top of the pile, the unicorn brought over a stack of news reports and began to skim through them one by one. At first, the curious student figured the newspaper, and if I'm wrong there, please correct me. I could be wrong, of course. Anyway, the curious student figured the papers were arranged by date. But as she dug into the pile, she found that they were in as chaotic a state as the closet she found them in. Yeah, no shit. The papers that were randomly thrown into the back of a closet are not in careful alphabetical date-based order. Fuck, really? In the pages of one paper, she would find the pages of another, and sometimes even the front page of one. She let out an aggravated sigh when it dawned upon her how much work it would take to straighten them out. Again, use the fucking news archive any library would have. Like, Equestria is pretty advanced as far as civil infrastructure goes from what we see in the show, so they probably do have a news archive in the goddamn library. It's just very reasonable to assume that you could find a better archive than a bunch of random pages shoved in the back of someone's closet. And apparently Rarity, or whoever originally stacked these things up 10 plus years ago, tore all the newspapers up and then reshuffled them into random orders just for shits and giggles. Frustrated, the purple pony set some of the papers flying. fuck it. Twilight's frustrated, so she's gonna destroy the books she's gonna destroy the papers that she was just working on, because that's how she rolls, you know. At least this way, they would be more organized than they used to be! Exclamation point. No, they wouldn't. That's fucking retarded. You're an idiot. Now, call it fate, or call it chance, or call it bad writing, but a particular paper decided to float down right in front of her. Yeah, I'm gonna call it bad writing. It was the front page of a Canada Courier from about 8 years before she was born. The earliest paper was from 10 years ago. You have literally contradicted yourself in the same, like, page. You are so goddamn dumb, it's amazing. On the front was a picture of the princess, nothing unusual. However, just as she was about to brush it aside, Twilight noticed something in the background. Her eyes widened and her heart raced in disbelief at what the paper told her. It had to be a misprint. It just had to be. Utterly dumbfounded by this turn of events, the filly found she spoke aloud instead of thinking. Okay. What? Are my parents doing? Besides the princess? What? I'm shocked. Okay. Flanking Princess Celestia on either side stood 2 unicorns in black suits, a mare and a stallion. Although the photo was in black and white, Twilight could almost see their colors on the page. In black and white. Okay, whatever. Twilight's parents had never told her they worked for the princess before. Never mind as bodyguards. What? In fact, they had always told her that they worked in a magic shop, which they could have worked at after being bodyguards. You know? Never thought of that, did you? What else had they lied to her about? Exclamation point, question mark. She had to know, comma, for sure. Scene transition. Boodly 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 boo. One thing was for certain. If Twilight... Okay, the last scene transition was to change characters, and then there wasn't a scene transition to change from location. But now we're getting a scene transition, page break thing, to jump right back to where we were at the end of the last paragraph. Okie dokie then. One thing was for certain. If Twilight Sparkle wanted to find something, you could bet your house that she would. That's not an expression, just FYI. Over the last couple of days, the unicorn had sunk her teeth into every of her in every facet of her life that she could find, eager to find more holes in her life story. My parents once bodyguards. I have to tear apart my life, find out every detail, everything that could possibly be wrong. Oh my god, it's a conspiracy! Jesus, Twilight is fucking paranoid as shit. Just waiting to be found. Recently, she had sent a request to the registry office in Camelot to inquire about some of the details of her records. Spike naturally watched over the unicorn with some concern as she threatened to pace herself literally through the floor of the library. Twilight, he spoke, rolling his eyes. I'll get here. It'll get here when it gets here. Didn't you learn a lesson from the whole family tree thing? He tapped his claw impatiently on the wooden shelf beside the seat. This is important, Spike, the unicorn retorted with indignation. Also, there is no space between Spike and the, so it is technically Spike the unicorn retorted with indignation, the stress beginning to become visible. The baby dragon... Okay, here we go, sorry. Page freaked out for a second. The baby dragon sighed, knowing a stressed Twilight could be a real pain in the scales. Whatever! He stood heading to the door. When you flip your lid and start thinking the walls are talking to you, I'll be at the Shakes. At the Shakes? Oh, okay. But the Shakes? Is that like... It's capitalized, so is that like a family? Is it like a store? Is it a dance club? Years of being her assistant, quotation marks, had steeled the young dragon from Twilight's brand of insanity. For the unicorn, she would she would start hearing things and formulate elaborate and impossible plans in order to relieve the source of the stress. That's not normal. At all. That is like schizophrenia, I think. Or delusions. Okay. She hears voices regularly, and Spike is just like, yeah, whatever. Whatever, not my problem. Anyway, he long since learned not to pay it any mind and just go with the flow. Sure, hearing voices concerned him a little bit, but so far they never tried to give her advice. They just talked to her, so like, whatever, who cares? As long as it's not Son of Sam, then, you know, I'm sure she's mentally healthy. Still, he urged her to talk to him about it if they came back. The most recent case being during the whole Parasprite incident, when she insisted every pony create an exact replica of the town in under a minute. So that was the result of voices in her head telling her it would be a good idea to build the town and build a new copy of the town. But Spike is like, whatever, it's fine, because the voices never tell her to do things like building an exact replica of the town. Author, have you read your own story? Do you just like write down things, forget about them, and then write something else without even thinking for a second about what you had just written down? Come on! Okay. I'm cool. Twilight resumed her insistent pacing until the door knocked to a familiar tune. Elated, she jumped to the door and hastily took the mail from Derpy, leaving the blonde Pegasus stupefied and wall-eyed at the door. I think Derpy's always wall-eyed. I don't think you leave her wall-eyed. That'd be like saying I got up to see my friend to grab a package for my friend Michael and then ran away, leaving him stupefied and Russian at the door. Like, that's just whatever. She simply didn't have time for her friend today. So much as that might have hurt her, the information contained in the yellow envelope was just too important for to the unicorn to be ignored. Using her magic, she hastily opened a large parcel and produced a number of papers. Okay, so she took the envelope, but then the way it's phrased here, it says that it is implying that she just opened another parcel, not the one she just used, because you didn't say the part. Oh my god, this story is actually eating my brain. My brain is literally melting as I read. Anyway, wasting no time, Twilight dug into the contents, ignoring a small note from the head register. The register's office in Canterlot was charged with processing all the certifications in the land of Equestria. Sorry, hiccuping. Be it death, birth, marriage, divorce, or papers involving the courts. The registry's office processed and stored all of them for a maximum of 150 years. Well, thank fucking God we got an explanation of what the registry office is. That's so important to know here and not at all breaking the flow of the narrative. After seeing all the copies of the various papers, Twilight simply could not find any more holes to be poured in. Her ears dropped in disappointment. Oh, my life isn't a lie. Damn it. Frustrated that she'd made a big deal over, literally, nothing. Her parents probably didn't tell her that she didn't think that the princess owed her anything. Okay. The unicorn sighed. She tucked away the papers. She tucked the papers away, only spying the small note then. New paragraph, apparently. What's this about? Twilight spoke in surprise, hungry for information, like the wolf. She tore through the notes in no time at all. It was about an oddity on her birth certificate. The listed doctor present, quite simply, never existed. Yeah, that's a bit more than an oddity. Dr. Frankenfurter, being the doctor who delivered me, would kind of raise some eyebrows if he never existed. That's more than just a tiny oddity in the notes. Yet somehow it got pushed through regardless and put into storage. Well, that is super sloppy. Like, Celestia covers all of her bases and then is just like, oh, whatever, fuck it, fake doctor, don't tell anyone, yeah, register, don't, whatever. If someone asks about it, just let them know that the doctor never exists. I don't give a shit. Any attempt at investigation was quelled by a previous head register. The unicorn's eyes narrowed upon the name, speaking aloud. Dr. Hooves? The doctor? Okay, so the David Tennant Time Lord pony is the head of the hospital that faked Twilight's birth 8 years ago. So, okay, that's a really bizarre decision. You pick the fan name that is a reference to Doctor Who and then give it to a character for something totally unrelated as just sort of a throwaway gag about it being a doctory name to give to the head of the registry office for a conspiracy unrelated to anything involving time travel. Like, that is such an odd decision. It's so weird. Okay, whatever, but I mean, okay. If there was ever an unassuming pony in town, it would... Or, sorry, by the way, transition! Woo, 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 woo. This time we're actually transitioning to another pony, so I mean, at least that's slightly more consistent than the last one. If there was ever an unassuming pony in town, it would have to be the brown stallion with the hourglass with the hourglass mark on his flank. Again, stop calling it a mark. You're not making it sound any more manly by not calling it a cutie mark. Just fucking, like, nut up and say cutie mark. It's not going to make you suddenly be less manly as you write your fan fiction about My Little Pony. Okay? It's just, seriously, it's weird. Okay? It's weird. Stop it. All of you who do that, and I know there's a lot of you who do that, just stop. It's fine. We're not going to judge you for saying cutie mark. Christ. His very appearance screamed uninteresting, and his mark was one of the most common in pony history. This is the cutie mark that shows you your special talent that you are uniquely qualified to do. Oh, but your one is the most common one in history. You're super boring. No one's gonna care about you, lame-o. And why is it the most common one in history? Have there just been a lot of clock makers, like a lot of hourglass makers? There's just like a big room where like Colgate and Dr. Hooves and the guy with the really pointy horn that sort of looks a little bit like the first Doctor are all just like in there making hourglasses, and it's just like an entire factory full of these people. Like, come on, that's dumb. You're dumb. The fact of the matter was that he didn't want to generate any interest. With interest came too many questions, specifically what he was a doctor of. Period. Only Celestia herself knew, and she wanted it kept between the two of them. I'm making you a doctor. You can put the word doctor at the front of your name, and I in fact insist that you do. But don't tell anyone what you're a doctor of. I want to keep that between me and you. If anyone ever asks, just say that you're a doctor. Going about his usual day, the good doctor picked up his groceries and was on his way home, saddlebag filled with produce, when a familiar purple unicorn stopped him in his way. Good morning, miss. He never talked to the filly before, but the colt knew her as the princess's prize student. Twilight Sparkle, the filly replied. I need to talk to you, Dr. Hooves. Or should I call you Head Register Hooves? Oh shit, I know your secret. His eyes narrowed in shock. I think your eyes widen in shock. They narrow in suspicion or anger. I'm shocked! Ooh! Okay. He had no idea how she knew, but he had a suspicion as to the why. I have no idea how she knew, but I have an idea as to why she knew. Okay. It was the day the princess told him to plan for. Should it ever had told the princess to plan for, should it ever occur. If it ever occurs, plan for it. Till then, whatever, do what you want. He just wished it didn't happen so soon, or that it was in such a or that he was in such a position to not refuse. How is this a position where you cannot refuse? That is different than another position where you possibly couldn't refuse. I mean, like, just say, I don't want to talk to you right now. This is weird. I have no idea what you're talking about. Boom, boom. Took care of your problem, Doc. Easy. Boom. Anyway, that's not what he does. Follow me, the doctor voiced, leading her back home. He began to sweat visibly, trying to recall the story that the princess told him to repeat to her in this event. The weight of his bags began to dig into his back, guaranteeing he didn't know the entire... granted, he didn't know the entire story, but he knew enough to possibly be on the receiving end of a magical temper tantrum. Okay. The idea made him shiver, especially as he recalled the Ursa incident with stunning clarity. Oh yeah, no, she could, like, seriously pick you up and rock you to sleep. I'm horrified at this concept. Eventually, the duo arrived at the unassuming house. An unassuming man in an unassuming house with an unassuming cutie mark. And he drives an unassuming car. Wasting no time. The mayor wasted no time. Spill it, she spoke indignantly. How many times are you going to speak indignantly, Twilight? You've been indignant more times than you've just said something normally. Why are you obfuscating the existence of this doctor? Using her telekinetic magic, she shoved the copy of the certification in front of his face. Irritated. She's now indignant and irritated. Oh, shit. The doctor sighed, unable to remember... Okay. Okay, I'm prepared. I'm ready. It's fine. She can confront me, but at least I've been planning for this day. My only regret is that it couldn't have been more on my terms. 3 paragraphs later, the doctor sighed, unable to remember the story the princess had told him. The fuck do you mean you were prepared, you idiot? I said, everyone in the story is either an idiot or an asshole or both. He needed to answer her, and to answer her now, before she became violent. This goes much deeper than you think. I'm not sure how exactly, but here's how it was explained to me. The good doctor started. As far as you or the courts are to know, you were born to your parents. However, he took a deep breath before continuing. All the princess told me was that your parents adopted you. I'm very sorry. I tried to get into the horse. I tried to get her to go into more detail, but all she told me was that it was my duty to prevent the investigation into it. I'm sorry for my part in that deception. All the princess told me was to not spill the beans on this thing and to make sure it didn't get bad to her. So I'm going to explain it all to you the moment you ask me, without any sort of deception or trying to hold it back at all. With how much of a horrible, monstrous ruler Celestia has been at this point, I have a feeling he's about to get his ass handed to him. Adopted? Did she just hear him right? No shit. Like, that is literally the thing that you were kind of trying to get at there. Like, what did you expect? Honestly. She was adopted, and the princess knew it? Exclamation point, question mark? The unicorn depressedly asked him. Depressedly. That's not that. Oh my god. The unicorn depressedly asked him. No, demanded he tell her where she came from. Show, don't tell. So yeah, instead of having Twilight ask, instead we were told, no, demanded that he tell her where she came from. But the cult either had formidable acting skill or simply didn't know. Either way, the mayor stormed out of the room, leaving the cult shaky in the corner whilst he muttered darkly under his breath. Yeah, you walk away. I know I told you everything, but come back again tomorrow and I'll have a right bad life for you, and I'll cut you. God, you are pathetic, Doc. Anyway, another scene transition, and back at Twilight's house. I know this is upsetting you, Twi. Spike spoke as the unicorn fumed with books levitating in front of her. But does it really matter? From what you've told me, it sounds like your parents both loved you very much. Normally I'd agree with you, Spike, but the author wants the story to be stupid, so we're gonna go on from here. Twilight started, not looking over the lip of the book. But I wrote Princess Celestia a week ago, and I haven't heard a thing since. It was true that the princess never took this long to write back, but Spike's urges fell on deaf ears. It was true the princess never took this long to write back, which is evidence for Twilight having a precedent for being upset. But Spike's urges fell on deaf ears. The way that sentence is supposed to work, writer, is that you're meant to put in the first line why Spike is being reasonable and asking her to calm down, and then say that despite that rational reason, she isn't calming down. Instead, what you've done is explain why she's reasonable to be freaking out, and then saying that despite having a justifiable reason to be freaking out, the fact that the thing that is justifying her freaking out has somehow failed to calm her down. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna blow my voice doing this. Oh god, this hurts. He kept insisting that the only reason for the lack of reply could only be that she was simply too busy at the moment. That, again, that bit at the end, you put where the first line is, and then you put the bit about why she still feels justified in freaking out at the end as an explanation as to why she's not listening to the justifiable reason as to why she shouldn't freak out. It is English 101. This is grade school stuff. Oh my god. Spike knew better than to bring the idea up again. Well, thank God for wasting our time. But a tickle in his throat and a narrowing of his eyes told him he didn't have to worry anymore. A belch of green smoke filled the air in front of the dragon. A scroll bearing the royal seal appeared in front of him. Twilight looked at him, giddily, with excitement. He sure hoped it was good news. Him. Her. Getting real tired of your shit. Dear Twilight Sparkle, Spike started. Dear Twilight Sparkle, Spike started. If you haven't guessed by the hoof writing, this is not Princess Celestia writing to you, but Princess Luna. Princess Luna? Twilight repeated, somewhat dumbfounded. Why hasn't Celestia written to her? Not that the Lunar Princess wasn't good enough for her, but still, she is, I prefer a white princess to write back to me. It's not a race thing, it's just I feel more comfortable with a white princess replying to my letters. I have plenty of dark colored pony friends, but I mean, like, it's not like a race thing. Again, I mean, like, I like Thunderlane. He's dark colored. Who else do I know who is a darker shade? I mean, the point is really should stand that I voted for Luna in the last election, so I'm not racist. Just again, it's just a preference thing about Celestia. It's not even the white thing. It's just the princess is the princess I wanted to talk to. You know what? Actually, whatever. Luna's cool too. Luna's great. In fact, I love. You know, let's go Luna. Let's go Luna, and because I like midnight blue princesses. Not racist. Spike nodded his head and continued to recite the letter. I just want to let you know. I just want to let you know we both received your letter, and we're both rather concerned at the tone of it. I tried to ask my sister what exactly was going on, but she either doesn't have the time or will not tell, or the will to tell me. You see, we are in Northern Equestria right now, presiding over a border dispute with our neighbors. Frankly, Celestia has been too busy and said she wanted to write to you herself. I know for a fact that she has at least started the letter. While it is a startling revelation, Twilight, I urge you not to take it to heart. I'm sure your parents, adopted or not, loved you as though you were their own, or else they would not have taken you in. However, I can confirm for you that they did indeed serve my sister as personal bodyguards during an assassination scare, which is something I knew from just off the top of my head. I wasn't around to see it. I just kind of, I guess, picked it up because that's the type of thing that comes up. Who was bodyguarding you during an assassination attempt 18 years before, or possibly 8 years before she was born, so she's probably like in her 20s, so something like 38 years ago, I guess, because it's 8 years before she was born. So anyway, on an unrelated note, I never really got a chance to express my gratitude to you or your friends for freeing me from my inner darkness. If any of you ever need a favor, I will do all in my power to aid you. Sincerely, H.R.H. Princess Luna of Equestria. Okay, yeah. I had to drop the soldier voice for Spike for a bit there, because wowzer crowser, that there was quite the letter. Although it answered a question about what her parents were doing in the picture with the princess, it still left many open to her. Like, why was someone trying to assassinate Princess Celestia? Why had she contracted a couple of magic shop owners to be her bodyguards? Those are all of them. Princess Celestia had never been too busy to write to her before. Even if she was swamped with work, she would never take longer than a couple of days to reply, never mind an entire week. I demand to be treated, like a goddamn child, and have every single one of my whims answered immediately. Snap, snap, princess. I know that you're in a board discussion with highly tense political talks, but I have needs too, and my needs are to know something kind of irrelevant about 38 years ago when my parents were bodyguarding you and I might be adopted. Everyone's such a terrible person. Twilight appreciated the letter from Princess Luna, but it wasn't enough for her. Nothing is ever enough for you. I'm going out for a walk, Spike, the purple unicorn muttered as she stood up. Her hooves carried her to the door of the library, her mind overwhelmed, shutting the door behind her in an angry slam, quite inadvertently. You really need to cool it on the comma use, because each one of those commas is a pause. So you're just, this is just terrible writing. This is English 101 fails. What had she done to be distrusted so much? Surely she could have penned out a letter while taking notes on on the dispute. Surely she could have ignored what the diplomat was saying to write a personal letter. That certainly wouldn't have gone down badly. Or before going to bed. Because she might, God knows there's no chance that she possibly was out all night having to deal with these diplomatic talks and spend all the intervening time talking with her own diplomats, trying to work out exactly how they're going to deal with everything and taking every, every single moment in the, that is not totally taken up with the border disputes, sleeping because she is slowly burning herself out. Why hadn't the princess written herself? Before she even knew it, Twilight found herself at the edge of town. Her friend Fluttershy's cottage right in front of her. The unicorn never planned to see any of her friends today, but she decided she needed somebody to talk to, and Fluttershy hasn't been written badly in the story yet, so let's fix that. She quietly approached the door and knocked lightly, knowing how timid the yellow Pegasus was, because Fluttershy will freak the fuck out if you even just kind of knock too loud. "Come in," came a light voice from inside. "Oh, hi, Twi," came the voice of her good friend Applejack. I have her pony friends. Just saying. She's a good friend. The two ponies looked at her briefly with joy, but quickly turned into worry. We don't like Twilight that much. Oh shit, it's a unicorn. Oh. "You okay, Sugar Cube? Seems to me like you got something on your mind." "Oh," the purple mare spoke in surprise, not expecting Fluttershy to already have company. "Oh, you've got a mud pony in here. Oh, hi, Applejack. Fancy that." "I can come back another time if you've already got visitors." "Visitor?" No, come in, Twilight." The other Pegasus replied softly. You're no bother to any of us. In fact, we were just talking about you. We're all concerned about you." She already told her friends what Dr. Hooves told her, off camera, show don't tell. And they all supported her and gave her advice much like Spike did. Show, don't tell. Still, it simply wasn't enough for her. The unicorn needed to know why Celestia knew and never told her. Okay, well, you did show us, so why are you telling us now? You've already showed us. You already showed us that part. Twilight delved into the details of her day upon her friend's insistence. When she would slip into a rant on how she felt the princess didn't trust her, the two of them would generally bring her down and back to her senses. So she often goes into rants about about Twilight, about Celestia not trusting her. I wish that YouTube would let me play that clip from Clone Wars, Star Wars Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, where Anakin's just oh, he's overly critical. He never trusts me. Oh, Obi-Wan doesn't get me. Anyway, after a cup of tea and getting those feelings off her back, the unicorn already felt much better about the circumstances. Until, however, after hearing a funny joke from the farmer, which we are not privy to because this author doesn't do funny, she paused in mid-laugh and suddenly went wide-eyed, a look of shock on her face. "Ha ha ha ha! Oh my God! Where am I?" Twilight spoke with some fear in her voice. There's some fear, and there's also just some other stuff. I mean, I kind of mix it up. There's some potato, some oil, a little bit of fear. It makes a wonderful latke. "Last thing I remember, Spike was reading a letter to me from Princess Luna." Fluttershy and Applejack looked at each other with concern etched upon their faces. Well, lucky you told us about it. Oh, well, lucky you told us about it, Twi." The orange Okay, so the paragraph ends without closed caption marks, and I've been told several times now that that is fine as long as it's the next person talking in the next paragraph, but it isn't. It's someone totally different. So this is just bad. "Well, lucky you told us about it. About forgetting. the orange pony stated. Yeah. That's right. Yeah! The pink mane... Oh, no, it's Fluttershy. Yeah. The pink mane pony continued. You told us how Spike read you the letter from the princess. And then you wandered off for a walk and came here. You then told us about how you felt the princess doesn't trust you. And we're comforting you about it. Do you have Alzheimer's? My Nana had Alzheimer's. It was really sad. Oh, right, the unicorn responded. Well, look at the time. I better get going home. Seeing the look on the Earth Pony's friend's face, she added, no, don't worry. I'll be fine, Applejack. Without another word to either pony, Twilight turned tail and left, slowly walking back to the library, the sun just beginning to set below the horizon. How could she suddenly forget almost 4 hours like that? Question mark? This wasn't a new occurrence to her, as she had lost some time before. It happened especially when she was studying for an important test, or when she found a very interesting book. Also, you don't put a comma right before an or. The or is all you need. Anyway. ... But never had she lost more than a couple of minutes before. It disturbed her a little bit, but she felt like there was no pony she could talk to about it. Not if the princess didn't trust her. Not if she didn't have the time to even write to her. Because fuck knows Twilight doesn't trust her friends. If Celestia won't talk to her, she won't talk to fucking anyone. I want my lawyer. Anyway, so yeah, Twilight loses 4 hours of time and then just shrugs up and is like, oh, well, I guess I can't trust anyone. I can't talk to my friends. Bye. Sure, she knew she sounded selfish. No, you sound like an idiot. But she never asked much of her teacher. Oh, well, about that. No, yeah, you are selfish. In fact, it was probably the biggest thing she'd ever asked for her. She'd ever asked of her. Before she even knew it, the purple unicorn had arrived back home to find the library dark. Probably because no one's there. Remember Spike left? Whatever. Opening... Oh, yeah, she probably doesn't remember because she has Alzheimer's. That's sad. Opening the door quietly, the young mare slowly walked her way upstairs and into the bedroom. Inside, nestled in his bed on the opposite side of the room, lay Spike, fast asleep already. Twilight rolled her eyes and sighed, following suit. The whole day had left her emotionally drained. Oh, Spike, what a little bitch. Asleep. Anyway, I'm going to sleep now. Everyone in the story is a fucking asshole. Even I'm a fucking asshole. Everyone's a fucking asshole. This is just, it's just assholes everywhere. Big brown ones. Anyway, transition. Over the next few days, Twilight became progressively worse in terms of mood. She was already pretty bad. Spike warned her friends about how she would get this way. Symptoms of test stress, as Spike called it, often including short-term memory loss and irritability. Yeah, hearing voices in your head and short-term memory loss are not signs of, like, mild stress, Spike. You really probably should have talked to a doctor a long time ago. However, the events of the previous day had pushed her over the edge, prompting great worry from her 5 friends. No one else actually liked her, including Spike. From her 5 friends, when she went ballistic at the over petty little things. Ballistic at them over petty little things. Okay. So, again, show don't tell please, because apparently while we haven't been watching, Twilight's been just like exploding on everyone, being super angry and aggressive, and has lost all but 5 of her friends, who are all now concerned about her. Twilight Sparkle started the day as usual, dragging herself out of bed a little before 10 in the morning, and into the... Oh, jeez. Sleeping until 10? Lucky! Lucky motherfucker. And into the bathroom to take care of her usual chores. Afterwards, she dragged herself down to breakfast. The cheerful morning light... So, after all the little commas everywhere, we finally get a place where a comma probably could have been useful, and it's not there. So, The cheerful morning light, a stark contrast to her mood. Spike had woken up uncharacteristically early for some unknown reason. Nothing short of Rarity could get him up at this time of day, which had the surly unicorn pondering his chipper mood. I guess the surly unicorn in this case is Twilight, not Rarity, who was just being referred to. Whatever. Morning, Twilight! He spoke as he passed her some of the wheat pancakes and syrup. Why are they wheat pancakes? Pancakes are already made of wheat. What is wrong with you, Story? This is so dumb. Oh my gosh. I was wondering if you'd come with me to Sugar Cube Corner this afternoon. Pinky said she had something she wanted to show everyone. She sounded pretty excited too, which really had me wondering. Uh-huh, the purple unicorn replied, absent-minded. You can call her Twilight. You don't have to call her the purple unicorn every time. That's just awkward. It was still too early for her to process just exactly what he said, but she heard afternoon and Sugar Cube Corner. It could only be some sort of party with some weird new game she'd wanted to show them all. She decided to humor her pink friend. My pink friend. I got pink friends too. I'm not racist against lighter colored people as well. I mean, I got friends of all over the color spectrum. At the very least, she needed a distraction from the anxiety of awaiting the princess later. In the meantime, the student took... Oh my god, just fucking call her Twilight, okay? It's super confusing when you refuse to refer to anyone other than descriptors and titles. Seriously, stop it. In the meantime, the student took to doing what she did best. Study and research. Today, I thought what she did best was magic. Whatever. Today she would browse through some of the books she brought out of the cellar a few days ago. There had to be a book in there with interesting unknown spells in it somewhere. Perhaps the next time they met she could show them off to the princess. She always loved to hear and see her progress on pony magic. Though she didn't like seeing her progress on zebra magic. Goddamn zebras. And the magic of friendship. She decided to stick around just to make sure she had everything she needed. But that was only part of the reason. As much as she hated being around Twilight... What the fuck? Okay. Spike decided to stick around just to make sure that she had everything she needed, but that was only part of the... Okay, so we switched perspectives over to Spike. It was super confusing. Again, you... Okay. Usually when they switch perspectives, it always comes with a transition. So when the writer randomly transitioned over to Spike's POV from Twilight's without any sort of warning, even in though in a normal story that would not necessarily be a huge issue, it's super jarring because that has never happened before. So it's really odd here. Anyway, as much as he hated being around Twilight when she was like this, her friends asked him to keep her in sight at all times so that she didn't miss the appointment that afternoon. They wouldn't tell him what it was, just the time and place she needed to be. So yeah, again, this isn't just changing over who we're currently focusing on in the narration. We are switching entirely over to Spike's point of view. Because before we were looking at everything through the lens of Twilight's understanding of the world, her descriptions, her observations. Now we're over on Spike with his personal observations and his personal understandings of the world and the things that he's been told, the information that is not privy to Twilight, but only to Spike. Again, this is something that a page break would actually make sense for. This would be a point of view shift, the type of thing that you want that page break for, and yet for the first time you haven't actually made a goddamn page break. Oh my god, you're so fucking stupid. Okay, calming down. Okay. Come on, Twy. Come on, Twy, I want to see what it is, Spike whined a few hours later as the duo slowly walked to the shop. And again, they do. He occasionally puts in page breaks when he's switching over. When like he's switching, he now at this point he's randomly adding in page breaks when he changes scene, character, or time. But then is also not adding page breaks at other times when he changes character, scene, or time. Just. Even if you're gonna be a shitty writer, be a consistent shitty writer. Don't make this so much harder on the reader than it already is. Anyway, a few hours later, walked to the shop. The baby dragon riding on the unicorn's back. The mare rolled her eyes again, unsurprised at the little dragon's enthusiasm. Let's make sure. Okay, it's still recording. Thank Christ. But not really in the mood to humor him today. She groaned to herself as she approached the bakery, having wanted to stay in the library all day. But her assistant wouldn't have any of that. Spiking, assertive. Oh my God, there's still like a blarb. Okay, we're like maybe like a sixth of the way to the end. We're almost done, but the story is hurting me. Surprise! Came a cry from all of her friends the very instant she walked inside. Twilight was a little taken aback by the streamers and balloons. It quickly became apparent to her just what exactly they'd planned to do. Let me guess, the purple mare spoke sarcastically. Say something, for Christ's sake. Just say something. You don't have to spoke all the time. She spoke sarcastically. She spoke indignantly. She spoke. There are other words besides spoke. At first I thought you were just trying to be clever by not using said all the time. But now you've just replaced one commonly used word for another slightly less commonly used word, apparently to make yourself seem smarter. You're not smarter. You're an idiot. All of your characters are idiots. They're all jerks. Everyone sucks. Oh God, I hate you so much. Okay. I'm fine. Let's continue. You're all throwing me a surprise party to help me cheer up. She had to admit that Pinkie Pie really went all out this time. The entire shop was caked in a thin layer of confetti. What? That's stupid. Streamers dripped from the ceiling like broken spider webs. Cheerful imagery. On the long table sat a bowl of purple punch and a three-layered cake and an assortment of party snacks. Looking on one of the walls, she could even see a game of pin the tail on the pony. Wow, she went all out. She poured confetti over everything, taped a couple of streamers to the wall, put up a single party game, and a cake, and some snacks. Fucking all out for Pinkie, I know. Like, Jesus. I mean, apart from the fact that she just made a foot-deep pile of snow confetti, this is pretty tame. Yep! Pinkie chirped as she bounced out from behind the cake, many more ponies emerging from the woodwork. Brains! Brains! We crawled out of the wood to feast on Twilight Sparkle. We've all been so worried about you, especially after what happened yesterday, when you yelled at every pony. Show, don't tell. And I know you're not exactly a party pony, but how could you not enjoy yourself here with your friends and a whole bunch of other ponies who only care for your well-being? I mean, come on! Every pony in town's been talking. And I figure if you were surrounded by friends, you'd feel better. Oh my God, why did I do that? Oh God, that was painful. That was so dumb. In one corner of the room stood a familiar gray Pegasus, who nodded her head when Pinkie finished her spiel. What? Crab's chirp is dawn, Twilight. Derpy spoke, somewhat surprised she managed to say her friend's name on command. What? What? What the f... She smiled at her in a broad grin, telling the purple mare that every pony as brainy as the male mare. Let me reread that. In one corner of the room stood a familiar gray Pegasus, who nodded her head when Pinky finished her spiel. Crabs chirp at dawn, Twilight, Derpy spoke, somewhat surprised she managed to say her friend's name on command. She smiled at her in a broad grin, telling the purple mare that even a pony as brainy as the male mare could enjoy a good party every now and then. Crabs chirp at dawn, Twilight, Derpy spoke, somewhat surprised she managed to say her friend's name on command. Even a pony as brainy as the male mare could enjoy a good party every now and then. Show don't tell. What the fuck did you just say there? Brainy? Is Derpy a genius? Is Derpy not capable of saying people's names? Is she mentally retarded? Is she a genius? Why is she brainy? Do you mean brain dead? Are you making some sort of joke? Crabs chirp at dawn, Twilight. Why are you proud about saying your friend's name right when you said something as inane as crabs chirp at dawn? Why did you say that? Why are you saying you're brainy because you said something so goddamn stupid? Is this a joke about retarded people? Am I going to have to choke a bitch? What did you just say? I don't even... Why did... What was... Is this joke retard? You mentally handicapped. You author write bad, no talk English good. Understand meaning no. Why derp you speak ladies good people, you should not. In when derpy say dawn good crabs chirp. Midnight dawn. Male mare enjoy good party even now then, and now every party good enjoy. Could male mare the as brainy as pony even that mare purple the telling grin broad in a in her at smiled she command on name friend her say to managed she surprised somewhat spoke Derpy Twilight dawn at chirp crab Smile her finished Pinky when head her nodded who Pegasus gray familiar a stood room the of corner one in Fine, Twilight replied, defeated in logic by the pink party pony and her other friends. Overall, once she got over the initial awkwardness, the purple unicorn really began to enjoy herself at the party. She drank some punch, ate some cake, and even watched a weird game called Spin the Bottle, where a pony would spin a bottle laying on the ground. Then the pony would have to kiss whatever pony it pointed to when sat in the circle. Twilight couldn't help but laugh when Pinky spun it and landed on Rarity, whom she swept off her hooves and planted a quick one on the mare lesbians. Sexual harassment, lesbians, possibly. Don't know. Dumb, you story shot. Celestia's day quickly turned into Luna's night, and before long ponies began to leave the festivities for a night of rest. Derpy was one of the first to go, since she had to wake up at dawn to collect mail, which caused Twilight to tense up once more without her intellect.
which caused Twilight to tense up a little more without her intellectual superior. Derpy, Twilight's intellectual superior. Before long, though, she found Spike passed out on the table just inches from the large cake. She smiled to herself, feeling a lot better as the din of the party died down. I'm going to have to go now, Pinky. Twilight smiled to her friend. Poor Spike's fast asleep, and not fair to keep him from his bed. Ah! Pinky whined. Well, as long as you had fun, I guess that's okay. I did, Pinky. Thank you. The purple mare spoke sincerely. Spoke! Again. Just, they said, I feel a lot better already. With a smile, she picked up the unconscious dragon and put him on her back before leaving the shop. The stars in the sky twinkled beautifully as a streak whipped across the sky. Ever since the Nightmare Moon incident, Twilight had always tried to show appreciation for the night sky whenever she could. Princess Luna deserved every bit of respect that her sister got. Before long, the two returned to the library, the ponies shutting the door behind her before carrying her friend up the stairs and into the bedroom. Tucking the sleeping dragon into his bed, the unicorn let out a smile. Twilight still considers Spike a friend, even though she only has 5 friends, one of whom is probably not Spike, because it's probably that of ponies. The unicorn let out a smile slip across her face as she slept peacefully. However, the image was quickly shattered as he belched loudly. As he belched loudly, a wisp of green smoke coming from his mouth, forming into a letter. The princess? Twilight asked softly as she levitated the letter over her desk to read it by candlelight. My faithful student, the letter opened. I beg you to please forgive the lateness of my reply. I trust my dear sister Luna told you I simply been too busy to respond until now. But I wish that it wasn't the case. I know how much you worry when things don't happen like they should. It's a trait I am humble enough to say that we share. That said, the tone of your missive surprised me and my sister greatly. I understand you must feel betrayed, that I don't trust you enough for the truth. This is not the case. Yes, it is true that your parents adopted you, and that they served me some years ago as personal bodyguards. However, when it comes to your story, here is all I know. One night, some pony abandoned you at the gates of the castle. Alas, Canterlot Castle simply doesn't have the resources to deal with a newborn foal. I only have maids and sexy outfits. So, I was forced to give you away. Naturally, I chose your parents because I knew that they would take you in and raise you like their own. As for falsifying your birth certificate, I'm afraid the whole thing was my idea. I didn't want you to face such a terrible truth at such an early age. I planned on telling you one day, especially when you came under my tutelage. But I'm afraid I became complacent with the lie. I should have told you a long time ago instead of letting you find out like this. Please, Twilight, forgive this old man for not being honest with you. Yours truthfully, Princess Celestia. Okay, I'm better. That helped. That helped. And that wasn't even that dumb. It was a little stupid, but like, you know, whatever. Compared to everything else, that was actually a pretty
That's a decent lie. It works. I mean, it's super dumb that, like, Celestia's like, oh yeah, no, we didn't have anyone in the castle who could take care of you, but, like, whatever. Also, I falsified a bunch of legal records so that you wouldn't find out the truth until you were old enough to understand it, instead of just having your parents lie about it and then tell you on their own without having to change a bunch of legal documents. But, like, okay, it is pretty fucking stupid, but it's not as bad as some of the other shit, so whatever. Crap. No, not going back there. Twilight smiled at the letter her dear teacher had written. She didn't think the princess would be so open with her, or admit how wrong she was, and how sorry it made her to lie like that. The unicorn suddenly felt as if the weight of the world had suddenly lifted off her haunches. She suddenly felt that the world had suddenly. Taking a deep breath, the student sighed and climbed into her bed. Stop using goddamn titles! Climbed into her bed, quickly dozing off to sleep. Once more, all was right with the world. For now! Jesus Christ, how many times are we going to get an ending that is literally just like, but then twist, something's going to happen? Okay, just have something happen. Nothing has happened so far. It's like a problem arises and then it gets solved. It's episodic. The guys, or girls, whatever, their pictures like an anime, their avatar thing is like an anime thing. And this feels like just sort of that episodic bullshit. So, I don't know, maybe it's fitting. Okay. Let's get through this author's note. This was Sunset Chapter 2, Twilight. Overall description. Some things in the world happen by chance. Others do not. Twilight Sparkle is about to learn the disturbing truth that will turn her world upside down. Once again, why put that at the end of the story? Like, you cannot get to that description until you have read the entire chapter, or at least scrolled past it. Anyway, chapter description. Also something that you had to scroll to the very bottom of the story to actually read if you want to read before the chapter. The plot begins in earnest, no it doesn't, as half of the mystery plays out. Half the mystery that then gets resolved neatly. Troublesome facts about the unicorn come to light as she investigates her past future. Okay. This begs the question, what would happen if she figured the whole thing out? Except at the end of the chapter we seem to have figured the whole thing out. Like, I mean, okay, yeah, we know that that the rest of it is that she's a golem, but, like, what would happen? She'd freak out in exactly the same way that she has here. I mean, it's not going to happen that way. She's got to freak out way the fuck harder, because obviously there wouldn't be a story if she didn't, but, you know, whatever. Note! If you've read Blood is Thicker, in quotation marks, you might be saying to yourself that I just decanoned it. I know, that's not a word. Yeah, it's decanonized. Dumb shit. Not necessarily. Sure, the elder sister might be adopted, but the parents still took her in. Trixie was actually born to Twilight's parents, but they are still sisters, regardless of the lack of blood relations. Savvy? Question mark. Go fuck yourself? Question mark. Fuck you. Fuck you, motherfucker. Fuck you, 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 fuck, God damn it, I'll see you next time. I'll see you next time for Chapter 3, Moonrise. Go fuck yourself.